Peace TV reporters have been active at the UN headquarters since 2010, the age of former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. They are often invited to gather pictures and news about high-level meetings and events at the UN headquarters. Our news reports have, in part, kept the international community up to date with the work of different governments so that people everywhere will know the great efforts and contributions of the UN to world peace, international affairs, and multilateralism.
I will be today's moderator, and I'm mostly a tech person who's had an entire career in New York, despite the very British accent. I am from England, France, and Turkey, have landed here 13 years ago and have become American this year. And I was a former chief of staff at Techstars, the largest pre-seed investor in startups in the world, along with Y Combinator, which we will mention. We are really pleased to partner with such a diverse group of people and innovators today across such a broad spectrum of fields related to giving. So as we always look at in tech, we are always building strong and high-powered growth companies, but we always remember where we come from, because a startup is only one person at the beginning and just an idea. And so giving back is as important to the tech world as well as to the rest of you. So I don't know if any of you know what Bunchful means. I know that I had to kind of look it up when I was preparing for this wonderful event, so I'm just curious, in the audience here, anyone wants to take a quick guess? I'll put you guys on the spot.
The easiest thing to do is to say, I'm so sorry, I'm afraid of what this new journey means, or I'm afraid of what may or may not happen, and we let that fear conquer us. But today is a testament to being able to overcome that fear and face all the things that have brought us, that are part of our own journey and self-development. Today's not really about me. I really created today to be a celebration of you, a celebration of the work that you are doing, all the ways that you are giving back, all the work that you do to help and empower others. So again, I want to say thank you. Thank you for the work that has brought you here today. Now, as I look out at the audience, I realize many of our audience members have not yet shown up. So we hope that they will be trickling in. But regardless, we are memorializing today to live as a testament to the work and all the challenges that we may face as we move forward, but that we will also overcome. I want to say thank you as well. I want to say thank you to Jessica Sophia Wong. I want to say thank you to our team, LeVar, Jordan, all the team in the background who have helped us get here today. And I want to say thank you to our audience. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure that the work that you do here today and afterwards shine very brightly and across many platforms. So, we'll talk a little bit more about the reason I founded Bunchful. But Crystal asked the question before, what does Bunchful mean? Bunchful to mean sharing your wealth and your abundance with others. And that's what it means to be Bunchful. So, if you have not yet seen the term in the dictionary or on Google,
Training, which takes 5 minutes, which is a training program that we have at LifeWorks, and you go to any doctor of your choice, like the ophthalmologist or the dentist. That's a total of $250. If you buy a pair of sneakers, an Apple Watch or Fitbit, that's $100. If you also go and get a full body massage, you go to a gym and you work out, that is a total of $175. So while you're working out and being an employee with us, we promote good health and wellness. And you can also get $525. Also, another thing is, if you wear glasses, we have an eyewear reimbursement where you can get $50. So we promote that all of our employees, while you're working with us, that you go to the doctor, you get your annual physical, and we also train you on a lot of healthy ways to keep your life going as an employee. And at LifeWorks, I'm so proud to represent our company as a whole and make sure that all people get your annual checkups and your physicals on an annual basis and keep your health going. We want you to be here, and health is wealth. And
So then I was started as a science teacher. Do I have a way to click that forward? Oh, okay. So, and then after 20 years of health education, somebody gave me a copy of the Read Aloud Handbook. I'd never heard of it. I'd never heard of the Read Aloud Handbook. And it basically says, and this is one of Penguin's top 100 books they've ever published. This is in the 8th edition. When I got involved, it was in the 4th edition. It basically says if you read a chapter of a novel, particularly a children's chapter novel, to elementary children, what you're doing is you're giving them a foundation of language and stories that will be a foundation for the rest of their education, the rest of their lives. So we found out upstream, this is the best technique. Reading chapter books to children, there's no shortcut. You have to take that time to read to them. And then when you read it aloud to them, you would actually invested in them. You invested in them. So I got a hold of this and I formed a nonprofit. And then I formed a national nonprofit called Read to Them. And we came up with the idea that we would give all the children in an elementary school, all of them, a copy, like 600 copies of this book. They would go home and we would have somebody read it aloud, the first chapter to them. And then this would be their book. We give it to them. The title is, and give it to them. So they would read the first chapter, and then when we get to school the next day, they have a trivia question activities. This goes on for the whole month. Children love it. There are no book reports. It's just fun for families. It creates a sense of wellness in the family.
I think I'm not going to sit at the podium. I'm too excited for that. So am I loud enough?
yes.
Excellent. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I've had the pleasure and almost honor of knowing Raquel for many, many years. And I will always say she is tenacious and absolutely amazing. And I know she's only going to continue to progress from here as she continues to grow Bunchful. So I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited all of you are here, and I'm excited to be here. My name is Stephen Robert. I'm the CEO of Bedrock Credit America, and since 2007, we've been helping people understand financial literacy, specifically in the world of credit education. There's so much misinformation out there, and misguided information that you can find through these websites. Our goal and our mission is to allow people to understand completely and truly how credit really works. Because let's be honest, what is our credit report? For those academics in the room, our credit report is our grown-up report card, right? How am I doing financially? How am I handling my debts? The payment history, right? What is it all about? Well, our goal is to go out there and explain to people how credit works, because there's just not enough of that. And the reason that's so important is because if it is in a situation of, I just don't understand it, but it's not going to impact me, unfortunately, I can tell you story after story after story where people had misinformation and it absolutely destroyed their home, their wishes, and their thoughts are going in a home. I'll give you an example. I had this happen a couple months ago. I had a client who called me and was somewhat perturbed and not really understanding what the process was, but the bottom line was she went to a free website, she pulled her credit, and it turned out she had a 702 score, in which she thought she would be good enough to be able to qualify. Well, then when she went into the bank and spoke with the bank, it turns out she really had a 645. Now, for those of you who might not be in the financial industry or in the mortgage industry, that is a drastic difference.
Pursuit, right? This is something that we should all pursue. We should pursue food security for everyone. We should pursue housing for everyone. We can all work on this together. And so these 17 goals are what we have taken on at Bunchful as a mandate to ourselves. So when I founded Bunchful, I founded this organization as a means to really highlight those who give back. I don't know if some of you have heard or read my story, but when it started, I didn't know it started. All I knew, picture this. Picture this, you're 5 or 6 years old, and every morning your grandmother's waking you up at 5 a.m. because she has to go to the farm, and so all breakfast items have to be done.
So I am so grateful to be able to share a little bit of what is a very passionate area for me. As she said, I'm Dr. Gail Brown, and I pastor a church along with my husband, Bishop Randy Brown, and we've been married 45 years, and we have done 45 years of ministry in Africa and all over the world, China, all over the Caribbean, and I am so grateful to God for all of that. But I will tell you my story just for a hot second. In 1985, one day when I was just home, just kind of doing housework, I wasn't doing church work, housework, and I remember a scripture in John that came to me. And the scripture came to me out of John, the Bible, in John chapter 4. And there's a story there about a woman that was at a well. And this woman was very broken. This woman was very hurt. This woman had experienced rejection at all levels.
Ish. And then Lord, I'm still young. Allow me to present myself in just a few words. I'm Teresumo Monte. I'm the spouse of the permanent representative of Cameroon to the United Nations. I'm member of the African Leader Association Network. I'm the former president of the African Ambassadors Spouse Group. I'm the former president of the United Nations International Bazaar for 2 years. I'm mark president of the International Women Group called UNDWC. I'm the former chair of the International Charity Bazaar, president of the United Nations African Mothers Association, UNAMA.
Because everything is in my house. Every gift that she's going to give to every woman at the conference is inside my house. And sometimes she had a conference one time, over 700 women. You know what was in my house? 700 wrapped gifts. Hallelujah. So we thank God. It's a good blessing. She's a wonderful woman. My wife and myself have been doing work together since 1978. We got married in 78 and immediately relocated to East Africa, Kenya in 1978, doing the work of God. We've been planting churches, setting up mission bases. We've built a Bible college in Zimbabwe. We've drilled wells. We've empowered the people, pushed the churches forward. In 1985, we actually started a base in Long Island, New York, in a little town called Wyandanch. And we're out there, we got a church going on out there. That church has released great leaders across the globe. We have over 100 pastors that have churches under us across the United States of America. Then we have over 1,000 pastors with churches in different regions of the world and Africa. We have
In a catastrophic geopolitical situation,
since COVID and this war that we did not forest. And workers did despair, suffering, misery, and social damage since COVID donation from company to help support action to reduce social and vast poverty and misery in the world preferred by 26%, we must commit ourselves to support people in situation of exclusion and poverty and to engage with them to fighting poverty. I have read many books, but the old war continues to resonate in my head. The old war declared on days where people are condemned to live in poverty. Human rights are violated. Nothing to enforce them is a sacred duty. This is the speech from Joseph Brzezinski, who worked to build an international day for the eradication of the poverty in the UN. In 1992, the United Nations officially recognized October 18 as the International Day to fighting poverty.
Thank you for the introduction. It's a privilege to be here to discuss how philanthropy and impact investing work together to address the Sustainable Development Goals. So from an investor's perspective, I'd like to talk about what it means to invest sustainably. And to do that, I would like to look at the what, the how, and the why of impact investing. So starting with the what, when selecting what projects to invest in, one of the most effective ways to target the highest impact projects is to use a bottoms-up rather than a top-down approach. This means giving communities the opportunity to originate ideas and appreciating the importance of locally driven solutions, and to an extent even letting the investee dictate where the investor focuses their attention. For example, as was mentioned, I spent the last 6.5 years at this UN Invest, where we provide patient capital loans and technical assistance to church-run enterprises across agriculture, healthcare, education, and financial inclusion in sub-Saharan Africa. And when we first started in 2017, we were focused strictly on investing in farms with the idea of improving food security across the continent. But within the first 3 to 4 years, we realized that these farms were co-located with schools.
So the impact is truly real. Please help me welcome Mr. Joseph. So let's see, so far we've had a bishop, a basketball star, several business leaders, the First Lady of Cameroon, a multi-hyphenate, globally renowned expert. Talk about imposter syndrome. Like, I'm now here talking to you about, well, let's talk. Do what you can with what you have, where you are. That is a quote from Teddy Roosevelt's serialized autobiography from more than 100 years ago. And I think today it hits us with the same resonance, the same meaning, and the same admonishment as it did then. The title of his serialized autobiography, The Outlook. It's pretty apropos, right? Do what you can with what you have, where you are. Today, as we gather to discuss the future of philanthropy, specifically as we reflect on ways to excite and evolve and extend the real impact that the UN SDGs can have globally, I want to offer you my own outlook about this quote, the gift of technology. Now, before I go there, I want to tell you a short, true story. and ask you to imagine a slightly different ending. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of Ramanujan. Anyone know who Ramanujan is? So Ramanujan.
And also, I just want to thank everyone who is this thing. Brown, Bishop Brown, and every one of you. And then Raquel, what an honor to have such beautiful students. Now, I'm lucky for what you do. And I thank you for not giving up on yourself, for choosing to stay on your lane and then carry more people along in order to achieve the goal that we set out to make the world a better place. Let's give a round of applause. I'm the Elizabeth of Bradshaw, and I'm a privileged servant that carries the global ambassadorial position at the Powerhouse brand. Powerhouse was going on for about 15 years now, and what we do is actually to create global leaders to showcase their brilliance, and hence the connection with the ambassador and Raquel and all of us. Because I believe, just like Jim Rohn said, each of us needs all of us, and all of us need each of us. Hence, we are all gathered here today. Someone said to me recently that giving is actually living, and that brings me to the power of giving. We've all talked about the amazing things that we're doing in the world, and all of those few
of your time for me to talk about a little bit longer of a journey of mine. Thank you, Raquel, for allowing me to be a part of your life and to allow to share what we do, which is plastic surgery or reconstructive plastic surgery that started over 100 years ago as a discipline. I would say that many beautiful things often come from very dark places, and plastic surgery, which now has developed into all kinds of aspects of beauty, really started in a very dark place, really in the aftermath of the First World War, where trench wars rendered people with injuries of the head and neck that needed to be reconstructed. So the surgeons back in the day, in the beginning of the 20th century, coined this discipline, plastic surgery, and began performing reconstructions, the applications of which are now extending in all different directions. As part of my introduction, it was mentioned that I am a graduate. One of my alma maters was the University of Pennsylvania. The program in plastic surgery was founded in 1921.
There is power in that, a power in healing that often seems surreal when I take a step back to consider the privilege that I have been given. As much as I enjoy taking care of patients in the field of general surgery, I soon discovered that there was a disconnect. A large part of why I went into medicine was not only to help people, but to connect meaningfully with people and develop long-term relationships. As a surgeon who performed general surgeries at that time, I was grateful to have helped these patients, but once they recovered, they moved on from our once intense relationship. After their initial recovery, I would only hope that they did not need to come back to me, because if they did, then that meant they had post-operative concerns. My practice soon evolved into the field of breast surgery. I appreciated the complexity of the disease processes and the delicate intricacies of performing breast surgery. But most of all, I was drawn to breast surgery for the ability to guide patients through the emotional and psychological challenges that they encounter when they are faced with abnormal breast imaging or a new breast mass, or the fear that they may be diagnosed with breast cancer, or for some
touching lives in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, where she has appeared also on television networks and featured in Radical Reinvention, mostly focusing on women who are cancer survivors and just going through personal and professional reinvention during that phase of life that they go through. And she will be sharing with us a talk and a workshop on self-acceptance.
14 years ago, I was diagnosed with some kind of hormonal imbalance. Back then they didn't know it was an immune deficiency. And what that made was I started losing my hair on top of my head, having aging spots all over my face, and losing weight in an anorexic looking way. 40% of my family had some type of cancer, and since I was a kid, my parents always encouraged us to take care of them, to understand things from a very close point of view. And I thought, okay, with those genes, this is my time. What I ended up having was a tumor in my pituitary gland that combined with a condition on my thyroid and an immune condition called Sjogren's. All this together would, in the long run, attack my bones and my glands with a lot of other discomforts, but they still could not diagnose all that at the same time. And I thought, okay, let's go see what this treatment is. And back then, it involved a lot of hormones that I was very afraid of taking with all this family history of cancer. And they told me that the other problems would come with years. Right now, it will affect mostly
from the Israeli camp, who are going to help and join me in presenting some of our awards today. More on that later. Thank you.
Performers are struggling because of the pay rate is so low. And with 0.009% per stream, which is below a penny, you know, it's difficult for them to make a living off of their craft work. And the only way that they can do it is basically through live performances. You know, usually, once upon a time, artists were able to make a substantial amount of royalties and payments because we had phonograph records and we had CDs. And although we embraced the technology,